UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Kavanagh was last night, and I'm going to go through the entire card from the bottom all the way to the top, give my recap and breakdown of each fight, and yeah, move swiftly through some of these fights. I did decent on picks, but also got some of the major ones wrong. Um, we started the night out with Damian Pinas versus Wes Schultz. Yes, it is a hilarious name. And it was very funny to hear the commentators keep saying it and Michael Bisping chanting it when he had interviewed him. But Damian Pinas wins by knockout in the first round. I got this one wrong because I had known neither of them. This was both of their debuts. I knew neither of them, and I picked Wes Schultz just because I thought he was gonna grapple pretty decently. Um, I did not know he was completely adverse to any punishment whatsoever and could not also throw a strike to save his life. Um, yeah, Damien goes out there, just drops him in like the first 10, 15 seconds. It felt like it was so quick. Then Wes Schultz scrambles himself back up, then eventually gets dropped again, gets back up, then gets dropped again, and that third time it was over. Damien just looked good out there, went out, finished him like he should have, honestly. Um, honestly, he should have just finished him like that and just yeah, he did what he needed to do. It was an impressive performance from him, but it was expected. I was just too stupid to realize it and got that pick wrong. So we move swiftly on to Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. I got this one correct. I picked Francis Marshall to win, and this is kind of how I envisioned it too. Was that Eric Silva was not going to be able to put up much of a fight in this. This fight was a submission at 2 minutes and 29 seconds of the first round. This was 1 second faster than the first fight. Um, and yeah, Francis Marshall gets out there, ragdolls Eric Silva pretty much, and gets him into submission. I believe it was a rear naked choke and tightened it up pretty good, finished him, and yeah, he overpowered Eric Silva out there. He looked really good. Um, Impressive destruction of Eric Silva like he was supposed to. That's what Francis Marshall had to do in this fight was destroy Eric Silva, and he pretty much just did that from the start to the end. Um, and yeah, good job from Francis Marshall. Gave me a correct pick and finishes Eric Silva. Honestly, uh, Eric Silva, it might be time to wrap it up, but that's for a lot of the fighters on this card. So I don't know. He could honestly he if Eric Silva never fought in the UFC again, that would not surprise me. Then we move up to Regina Tarrin versus Ernesta Caracate. I didn't get to pick this fight with my predictions video because Regina Tarrin stepped in on I believe it was like 3 days notice or something. So I think she stepped in the day I had made my video. Um, and yeah, Ernesta Caracate lost this fight. I did think that she would lose it. When Regina Tarrin was announced, when I saw that she was there, I did switch up and think Ernesta Caracate was gonna lose this one, and that Regina Tarrin would win. I just had a feeling, especially with all the hype behind her. I think she was gonna rise to the occasion, and she did. She did very, very good out there. But this doesn't count towards my picks. The reason I'm sticking so long on this fight though is because this was a great fight, and this was fight of the night. It did end up winning fight of the night. It deserved fight of the night. It was a very fun fight. Probably the best women's fight of the year for sure by now. Unless I'm forgetting one obvious one, but this was a really good fight. Regina Tarrin looked really good out there. Was she had not the cleanest and most effective striking, but it was when she was landing, it was working, and it Ernesta had a lot bigger reactions than Regina did, and just Regina would land shots in good time, like when she needed to. It felt like she had like an internal clock going that was just you need one now and you need one now, and she was able to just do it to interrupt Ernesta every little bit that you felt like Ernesta was going to try and do something. And Regina defended takedowns and for the most part, and was just she did very good out there. Looked good in her UFC debut. This was at a catch weight of 130. But I mean, stepping up on short notice, did great. Can't wait to see her fight again because she is going to be popular. Um, for very obvious reasons, she's going to be very popular, and um, I mean, this was 125 total strikes from her, 127 from Caracate, and Caracate landed the less significant ones Like her strikes were not as um damaging as um Regina Terran's. So yeah, this fight was very good. Can't wait to see what happens with Regina Terran in the future. And yeah, very very impressive performance. Then we have Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. Um, this fight ends at the final second of the first round. I was worried in this fight. I'm not gonna lie. I picked Reyes to win this fight, and he did win it. But there was a moment where he got dropped bad, um, and recovered. Ended up getting Andrade down, and then was pounding him. Got his back flattened out. I believe that was this fight. If I'm not, yes, this was this fight. Got his back flattened out and just teed off on him, and then they call it at the last second of the fight. Um, and yeah, Reyes recovered very well. This was, if I mean, 87 to 19. That does not show the story of this first round because Douglas Silva de Andrade dropped Reyes bad, like real bad, and then Reyes was able to come back and get him down, and then all these strikes, for the most part, like I would say at least 60 of those strikes probably came from the ground when he was just working in shots on the ground. And yeah, Reyes came back. This was going to be my comeback of the year when this fight was happening, but that is now um, changed to a fight later on the card already. But yeah, this was a very good comeback from Javier Reyes and looked good for him. Now he is, I believe, 23-5. And yeah, Silva de Andrade, it might be time for him to wrap it up too, honestly. Then Christian Quiones versus Chris Moutinho. I got this one wrong because to be funny, I picked Chris Moutinho. I thought it would be funny, and it was just annoying watching this fight. This fight was not good. Christian Quiones has not fought in like 2 years or whatever. Chris Moutinho looks like he's never fought ever. He is still just a punching bag out there for these guys, and Christian Quiones didn't look really good either. Moutinho looked really really bad. Like he looked awful. He couldn't cut off the cage. He barely threw any strikes of significance. Quiones barely threw anything too significant either, but he was just landing something, so he won this fight. Um, yeah, Moutinho really did absolutely nothing. These two were gassed at the end of the second round, and it was just I could not wait for this fight to be over. But I got it wrong for the joke, even though I should have picked Quiones. But yeah, I knew this was gonna happen, and yeah, 7 takedowns. Um, by Quiones, and just Moutinho had literally nothing for him in this fight. It was pretty much one-way traffic from Christian Quiones, but it was the least damaging one-way traffic I've ever seen. Then Aylin Perez versus Macy Chesson. This fight was somewhat good. It was more of a grappling fight than anything. But Aylin Perez, the first round, was losing a little bit to Chesson, and then Aylin Perez comes out and just steals the rest of the fight. I don't know if they have. Yeah, see, Macy Chesson landed good shots in this round, and then the last two were all Aylin Perez, and Aylin Perez looked good out there. She did very good. Clearly won this decision, and yeah, is looking impressive out there. Had a tougher challenge physically with Macy Chesson with how tall she is, and she does have somewhat dangerous hands, and she looked good out there. She kept it together and just did implemented her game plan accurately and beat Macy Chesson using her grappling. Really, really, really glad that this fight went how it did, and yeah, we get Aylin Perez versus maybe a Norma Dumont. Maybe she called out Tracy Cortez, but I don't see that because they're at two different weight classes. Aylin has the chance to go and try and work towards a belt. So I would say Aylin Perez versus maybe a Norma Dumont right now would be the best case. But yeah, good performance from Aylin Perez. Not really too much to talk about other than she just beat Macy Chesson. Chesson, a fight or two more lost. She needs to be cut too. I mean, honestly. Yeah, we move on to the feature prelim, which is Ryan Gandra versus Jose Daniel Medina. Um, I've said for a couple of these fighters to cut them from the UFC, but if anybody needs to be cut, it is 1000% Jose Medina. he just needs to be cut from the UFC. He has lost like 5 fights in a row. He's looked awful in every single one. He looked awful on the Contender Series, from what I remember, but he was tough. That's why he got signed, is because he's tough. He has literally not done anything offensively in any of his fights. For their highlight clip before the fight started, um, the highlights they used for him was one combination he landed on Zachary Reese, and that's it. That was the only thing they had of him footage wise. Um, he just he This was such an easy first round knockout. Ryan Gandra literally just went out swinging. This is quite literally the only way to describe this fight, which was Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby. I mean, and that's given a lot of credit to Ryan Gandra. Ryan Gandra he's good. He has potential, but he's not the greatest ever. He's not the most exciting or not the most intriguing prospect in the middleweight division. But Daniel Medina is that bad that he had literally zero chance in this fight. I would have bet my house and every dollar I own that Ryan Gandra wins this fight. Um, yeah, Jose Daniel Medina, cut him from the UFC, get him out of here. He's literally just a trash can for these guys to beat on. And yeah, Ryan Gandra wins first round knockout. Daniel Medina was complaining that he wasn't out, but we literally saw Ryan Gandra hit him with like a three-piece to the chin that dropped Daniel Medina straight down onto his face and literally sent Medina's chin into the bleachers. I mean, it was destruction by Ryan Gandra. So yeah, easy one. I got that one right. And on the prelims, I did, what was it? I think 4 for 2. Um, I got the first fight wrong, and I got the Moutinho fight wrong, and then the women's fight I did not. The Taryn fight I technically wasn't able to actually predict because she signed on later. Um, but yeah, we move up to the main card with Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. This was a very, very good performance from Santiago Luna. He landed pretty much at will in this fight. He looked very good, crisp, clean. Stayed relatively unscathed throughout most of this fight. A couple shots got landed, but nothing really of note. Um, and Angel Pacheco just had nothing on the feet or really on the ground for Santiago Luna. And Luna was just landing shot, out of the way of the next, landing, block, landing, landing, landing. Like he was just crisp, clean out there, looked really good. Can't wait to see him as he keeps progressing and keeps getting better because this is only his second fight in the UFC. This is his first one with a full fight camp, and yeah, I'm excited to see where he goes from here because he was very, very good out there. Um, and just he has very, very crisp striking for being this young and this early in his career. So he can definitely go places. And I hope he does prove to be a very, very good prospect in the future. But yeah, nothing much really to say about this fight other than Santiago Luna just really did good with his shots and landing the damaging clean strikes. Then we get to Imanol Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Now, this fight, I picked Imanol Rodriguez, and you bet I was terrified in that first round when I saw Imanol Rodriguez get dropped and literally spun out and then chased down and dropped another like 1 or 2 times. Imanol Rodriguez was getting beaten bad, was just literally being chased down for the finish, but then ends up getting some position on Kevin Borjas and then ends the fight on top and doing very good in the end of the first round. Um, but then yeah, though he survives that onslaught that he took, which that left hook that started it all was perfect. It literally spun Imanol Rodriguez's chin off, like literally spun him in a circle. And Rodriguez was running away trying to survive. Comes out in the second round and then gets Borjas and starts beating on him, starts snowballing. It keeps getting better and it keeps getting better. And then he just beats on Kevin Borjas, gets him down. I believe it was, he kept landing some good shots up against the fence. And then he threw, I believe it was an overhand that it was like delayed. And then Kevin Borjas then fell down after like 3 seconds. He got hit and then he was wobbled and he was leaning against the cage and then he drops. And then Rodriguez jumps on him, finishes him, and very good performance from Rodriguez, able to come back in very good fashion and beat Kevin Borjas. And Yeah, this was just really good performance, impressive from him. This is my comeback of the year so far because he was dropped and hurt so bad, and then comes out the very next round and TKOs the guy. Um, yeah, great job from Imanol Rodriguez, and I'm excited to see what they do with him in the future. Yeah, and it was a fun fight too. If this one or the women's fight might have been my fights of the night. The Taryn fight versus Karakate, or this one, Karakate and Taryn did get it and should have gotten it, but this was probably my second. Yeah, pretty fun fight. Then we move up to Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Boons. Edgar Chairez wins this fight by uh split decision. This fight was close. Felipe Boons using his grappling pretty good, but Edgar Chairez deserved this fight. He won the second and third rounds pretty clearly in my mind. Felipe Boons won the first round, got to the back of Edgar Chairez and was able to hold him out. And then, yeah, Edgar Chairez just landed the shots he needed to in the second round. The second round was really close, but did land the better shots in my opinion. And then the third round, Edgar Chairez, I believe he was doing good like he was in the second round, but it wasn't great. And then he got nut kicked. He was crouched down in the corner, and then it almost like a flip switched in him where he just he got up, he went right at him, and he put on some damage to end the fight and finalize the third round and took that third round for himself. And yeah, Edgar Chairez wins this fight. Gives me another correct one, and yeah, looked pretty decent out there, but definitely not amazing. He's been talking about like, oh yeah, only a couple fights away from a title shot. No, he's very far away still. Um, and yeah, I'm Edgar Chairez wins this fight, good fashion. Just had a very interesting difficulties in this fight with Felipe Boons. I think if Chairez was the Chairez that fought Joshua Van, he finishes Boons in like the first or second round. He was very hesitant in this fight for some reason. Now we move up to Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green. Now this one I got wrong. I got this one very wrong. Daniel Zellhuber literally did nothing in this fight. Was just Bobby Green masterclass. Honestly, this was I'm not saying that this was a masterclass performance. I think I'm saying this is a Bobby Green masterclass. This is vintage Bobby Green, where he literally talked shit and was talking in his face, hands down, dipping out of the way, literally embarrassed Daniel Zellhuber. I mean, this fight went 2 rounds, almost to the third round, and Daniel Zellhuber landed 17 strikes. 17. Bobby Green landed 100. And it wasn't like there was a lot of groundwork where Bobby Green was landing little pitter patter shots. No, Bobby Green got like he just did what he needed to do. Beat Daniel Zellhuber, got out of the way, landed shots, counter, very good. Um, and I was surprised at how good Bobby Green was able to act with a taller fighter in front of him and not being on the front foot for most of the fight. And he was able to dip and dive out of the way. But Zellhuber was just telegraphing everything he was throwing very sloppy, missed almost every shot. He looked very bad out there. And Bobby Green deserved to win this fight. Just as simple as that, he deserved to win the fight. Uh, and went out there with a great performance. Let me see if I yeah, Bobby Green went out there and just picked apart Zellhuber, beat on him, would kind of just low key embarrassed him. Zellhuber, I think, has been the favorite, a massive favorite, like minus 400, minus like 900, and minus like 300 in his last three fights, and he's lost all of them. Or not maybe in his last three fights, but maybe in his UFC career so far, he's been minus 300 or 400 above and lost all of them. I mean, that's insane. He should have won this fight, but Bobby Green proved, hey, nope, he's not that good, and I'm still way better than this guy. Knocks him out, looked great in that knockout. Caught him bad, and then got him bad again, and then got him up against the cage and just beat him. And yeah, Bobby Green wins by knockout over Daniel Zellhuber. Um, very happy to see it, and yeah, very good job from Bobby Green. Not really much else to say. Um, just classic Bobby Green performance. And yeah, honestly, as far as what's next for Zellhuber, I don't know. You give him like one more fight low in the rankings of the lightweight division, or not in the rankings, but in the unranked rankings, like the lower end of the unranked, and see if he can win that. Bobby Green, I want to see the Michael Johnson fight. I think that would be fun in 2026. And then otherwise, give him to somebody in the up and comers of the lightweight division to see. He has a win over Grant Dawson, which is pretty good. And he has a win over some other couple people uh, in that unranked area. Maybe if Jalen Turner and him want to run it back, they can do that. See, I don't know what's next for him. I think Michael Johnson though is my most interesting fight. Both of them beat Zellhuber. Green definitely a lot better beating. Maybe if Brian Ortega is still coming up to the lightweight division, since he fell out of the Moicano fight, maybe you do Bobby Green versus Brian Ortega. See if that's something we want to do. Um, but yeah, we move up to the co-main event of the evening: Chito Vera versus David Martinez. Now I got this one wrong too. This was two wrong in a row, and this was more of a delusional one than the last one. Zellhuber was a logical option to pick, but Cheeto, I was picking out of just hope that Cheeto would be able to do something, and he barely threw any kicks this entire fight. I was thinking that was going to be his most success, and it legitimately the best shot he landed the entire fight was a head kick in the second round. But Martinez clearly wins the first round. He puts on good damage. Cheeto plods forward, does nothing, and literally throws nothing of significance. Martinez just landing great shots. Then the second round, Cheeto didn't really do much the early half of it. Martinez was doing good. You could see Martinez slowing down though, and then Cheeto lands a head kick that's pretty good. Best shot of the fight, honestly, probably. And Cheeto lands some good shots in the last like minute, but it was just way too little, way too late. He could not do anything really too significant in that second round to steal it back, unless he would have rocked him with the head kick and then gone after him, but he didn't. He just landed it and then stood in front of him. Um, and then the third round, Cheeto comes out and actually throws some shots. Does very good in the third round. Lands some great body shots, landing some good um like straights and stuff. But Martinez is still winning, or still in there. He's very tired, obviously, but Martinez is still holding in there. And then Cheeto lands some good stuff with a flurry at the end of the round that secures him the third round. But it was too little too late. Just not enough from Cheeto. I was expecting so many more kicks from Cheeto. If Cheeto was keeping the body kicks going, if he was keeping the leg kicks going, if he was mixing it up, throwing some front kicks, throwing some kicks to the arms, just throwing something. He has very dangerous, powerful kicks, and he threw none really this fight. I mean, that was one thing that going into this fight that I was like, hey, even if I'm delusional and thinking he could win this, the kicks should work, and he just didn't throw any. So, yeah, Cheeto Vera loses this fight by decision, rightfully so. This is 4 in a row for Cheeto, and I think he's got one or two more left. If he loses them in the UFC, then they've got to cut him because he's on the decline and bad ever since the Sean O'Malley fight. Um, then we have the main event of the evening: Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanagh. I am shocked. I was genuinely shocked with how this fight went. I talked a lot of shit in my predictions video because I thought there was no way Loner Kavanagh won this by decision. But Brandon Moreno, I think, went in there with a bad game plan of Kavanagh's gonna gas out, so we just gotta try and just not overexert in the first two rounds and keep it simple, keep it very tight. And he did that to an extent, but he did not think for the calf kicks. The calf kicks really were what decided this because Loner Kavanagh invested heavy with calf kicks and just chopped at his lead leg. And Moreno is very lead leg centered, and a lot of his fighting style comes off of his legs, and Kavanagh just invested very good. Those first two rounds, the first round, Loner Kavanagh looked really good. The second round, Loner Kavanagh looked really, really good. Won either of those very clearly. There's really no debate even possible for those two. but those were the ones that were expected for Loner Kavanagh to win if he was going to win them. Then Brandon Moreno, his leg is still decent in the third round, and he wins the third round. I would say he won the third round clearly. Um, Landed some good shots, was pushing up against the fence, was controlling him, and just Brandon Moreno won the third round. I think there's not much controversy with that. Um, and but you could tell that the leg is hurting him, and Moreno's face is busted up from the first two rounds, where Kavanagh hurt Moreno a couple times in the first two rounds, and then Moreno still. I mean, you can't count Moreno out in the third round. He was doing very good, winning that round, and Kavanagh was clearly more tired in the third. Fourth round, though, we get to it, and this round was close. Very, very close. But I think Moreno did win the fourth round. I know a lot of people said that Loner going into the fifth, it was up 3-1. I think this was 2-2 going into the fifth because I think Brandon Moreno won this. He landed some decent shots. Loner Kavanagh landed some somewhat decent shots, but then Moreno held this up against the cage for like 3 minutes of this round, and he did control that and land some good shots when they were on the feet. Not many too significant strikes were landed in that fourth round, from what I remember. But I think Brandon Moreno won the fourth round very narrowly. I know some judges did give it to Loner Kavanagh, but I did think this was 2-2 going into the fifth. Um, and then the fifth came around, and it was very, very close again. But I think Loner Kavanagh did get the fifth, um, and deservedly won this fight. I'm shocked that he won it by decision. Literally, Charles Johnson. Honestly, Charles Johnson should come and knock me out so then I can fight for a top contender in the UFC and win it, because he did that to Loner Kavanagh, knocks out Loner Kavanagh, and then Loner Kavanagh's next fight is against Brandon Moreno, and he wins it in Moreno's home city, territory, everything. Like, not, I know it's not where he Moreno's actually from, but this is where Moreno fights in that arena all the time. Beat him in Mexico on short notice. Number 6 in the world versus an unranked Loner Kavanagh, and Charles Johnson knocks out Loner. Loner then wins this fight. Charles Johnson knocks out Joshua Van. Couple fights later, Joshua Van fights Brandon Royval, becomes the number 1 contender, then fights for the belt and wins the belt. I mean, you can't make it up. Charles Johnson's got to be rolling around right now watching this happen. And yeah, Brandon Moreno loses this fight. I am very shocked. I don't know what they do with Moreno now. He's going to have to fight somebody lower in the rankings that's going to try and come up again. And Kavanagh, I think Kavanagh should have to fight a little bit below his ranking. Yes, he did overachieve and beat the number 6 in the world, Brandon Moreno, but the way, purely because of the flyweight division and the way it's set up right now, you've got Van versus Tetsuya Taira, deservingly. Then you've got Manel Cap, who just knocked out Brandon Royval. You've got um, Kyoji Horiguchi, who just beat Amir Albazi dominantly. So I could see a world where Loner Kavanagh has to fight a little down, or the fight that would also make sense is Loner Kavanagh versus Brandon Royval. You do that fight. They're both high up in that division. Royval's coming off the Manel Cap knockout. Loner Kavanagh's coming off of a good 5-round performance against Brandon Moreno. Then you give the chance for Loner Kavanagh to prove himself a little bit more and to kind of hold out some of this division, because then we've also got Pantoja lurking in the wings that whenever he's healed, you know he's getting a title shot. And I think really what now has to happen is you do something like Manel Cap versus Kyoji, Taira versus Van, Loner versus Royval, Moreno versus somebody lower in the rankings that's not an Amir Albazi, somebody that's on the up and coming. And then whenever Pantoja's back, he fights. Say if Pantoja's back after the Van Taira fight, he fights the winner of Van Taira, and then the winner of Manel Cap versus Kyoji fights Pantoja. So there's a chance for that, and then Loner by then maybe will be ready to fight for a number 1 contenders match, or Brandon Royval will be defending his spot still. Whatever. But yeah, Loner Kavanagh wins this fight over Brandon Moreno. I got this one dead wrong. Very, very dead wrong. Very shocked that Loner Kavanagh won it the way he did. And yeah, I'm eating my words. I said I would eat them if I got it wrong. And yeah, very good performance from Loner Kavanagh. It's crazy. You can go from getting knocked out by an unranked Charles Johnson to beating former double champ or not double champion, former two-time champion Brandon Moreno in Mexico City on short notice and at altitude and beat him like he did in a decision that was pretty clear for him. Close but clear. And yeah, Brandon Moreno loses once again. Um, and yeah, that was UFC Fight Night Mexico City. I went 7 for 5 on my picks for this card. Um, Overall, this was a decent card. The prelims were actually pretty decent. There were some good finishes, some entertaining fights. And yeah, we now move on to UFC 326. Holloway Oliveira 2. I am so excited for that card. I genuinely cannot wait to see that card. And yeah, we've got a banger coming up. So this card was pretty good. Um, I don't remember what's the next fight night. I think the next fight night. So we've got 326. Then we've got Emmett versus Vallejos, I believe, and that fight I am very excited for. And yeah, UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Kavanagh. Um, 7 for 5 on picks, and not including obviously the Terran one, which I would have gotten right because I was picking her to win when the fight was happening, but I didn't get in my prediction video, so it doesn't count. And yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good night and or good day, good morning, whatever. Um, yeah, thank you for watching and like, follow, subscribe, whatever you gotta do, and bye.